All right. In today's class, we will talk about Walter's model, and basically we will talk about the dividend theory and policy. Now, what is a dividend policy? Dividend policy is basically how a company decides to pay out its dividends in order to maximize the wealth of the shareholders while also keeping in mind the growth of the firm. Now, either a company can pay out all the dividend, all the earnings as dividend, or a company can retain the entire earnings, or it can pay out dividends partly and partly retain the earnings. What are the issues in a dividend policy? While formulating a dividend policy of the firm, following issues arise. First is earnings to be distributed, as we talked about. Either there has to be high payout or 100% dividend payout, or there has to be low payout and high percentage of retention ratio, or there has to be a fine balance between the both. 100% dividend payout ratio means that all the earnings have been distributed as dividends to the shareholders. 100% retention ratio means that all the earnings have been retained for investment or reinvestment by the firm and there has been no dividend distribution. Lastly, what is the objective of the shareholders' return? What is the objective? The objective is always to maximize the shareholders' return, but also to keep in mind the growth of the firm. What all affects dividend policy and what is affected by dividend policy? Taxes, investments, financing decisions. There are various things that affect the dividend policy. Sometimes the taxation is high, sometimes we have a lot of financing in the firm, and so on. Where we are investing, are there good investment opportunities or not? All these factors affect the dividend policy as well. These are the various models for dividend policy determination: Walter's model, Gordon's model, Modigliani Miller, and the word in hand argument. Talking about Walter's model, it is a model based on the following assumptions. Now, Walter said that dividend decisions always affect the value of the firm. His model stresses upon a relation between the rate of return and the cost of capital and how their relationship can be used to maximize the wealth of the shareholders. What are the basic assumptions that are used in a Walter's model? The first one is that the firm finances all investment through internal financing, that is, complete internal financing and no external financing is taken by the firm. All the finances are investment through retained earnings. Secondly, the rate of return and the cost of capital is always constant. Thirdly, there is either 100% payout of dividend or there is 100% retention of the earnings. Fourthly, the earnings per share and dividend per share are always constant. Now, in the beginning, the value of earnings per share and dividend per share may change, but as soon as they are fixed for a certain level of market price share, their value remains constant throughout. Lastly, we assume that the organization, the firm that we are formulating the dividend policy for, according to Walter's model, it has infinite life or it has a very long term. Going towards the formula of the Walter's model. Now, what are we calculating here? We are calculating the market price per share. What is the market price per share? In this case, it is dividend per share divided by the cost of capital plus your rate of return by the cost of capital into earnings per share minus dividend per share, all divided by cost of capital. Now, dividend per share is the dividend given per unit share to each shareholder. Similarly, earnings per share are the earnings per unit share for a shareholder. Rate of return is the firm's rate that it achieves on investment. Any kind of investment, whatever rate of return it achieves is R. We have averaged it out. And lastly, cost of capital. Cost of capital is basically the charge that a firm has to pay for obtaining any amount of money, any sum of capital. For example, if we take a loan, a basic example is if we take a loan and the interest rate is 4%. So the interest that we are paying on obtaining that loan, because of obtaining that loan, the interest that we pay back is the cost of that loan. It is basically the cost of that capital. Now, according to Walter's model, there are three types of firms can be seen as per Walter's model. First is the growth firm, where the rate of return is more than the cost of capital. Such firms expand rapidly. They yield higher returns than the opportunity cost of capital. And such companies maximize their value per share if they follow a policy of retaining all earnings for internal investments. Second are the normal firms. Normal firms are our everyday, day-to-day firms, where the rate of return is equal to the cost of capitals. Mostly, the rate of return is equal to the cost of capitals. Now, there is a mistake in this PPT. No effect should come with the normal firms. No effects should go up. And your distribute all earnings should go down. Now, normal firms, on normal firms, where the rate of return is equal to the cost of capital, dividend policy does not have any effect on market value of shares of such kind of a firm. There is no unique optimum payout ratio for a normal firm. All right. And last, we have declining firms. For declining firms, they do not have profitable investment opportunities. Such firms earn lower rate of return as compared to the cost of capital. That is the investment, the rate they are getting on their investment, the return is lesser than the cost of capital they have to pay for obtaining any sum of capital. Now, investors of such a company, which are already few, investors of such a company want all the earnings to be distributed as dividend. They want some kind of increment to remain invested in this kind of a firm, which is declining. So the best option for a declining firm is to have a 100% payout ratio. That is to distribute all its earnings. All right. These are the three kinds of firms. Moving forward, now this is an example of Walter's model, where you can see we have three firms. One is a growth firm, one is a normal firm, and one is a declining firm. Now, when we talk about growth firms, as you can see, its rate of return is higher than the cost of capital. All right. And earning per share is same for all three types of firms, that is rupees 10. For the growth firm, rate of return is 15%, 0.15, and cost of capital is 0.10. Now, they have four different types of payout ratios. First scenario is payout ratio 0%. That is when you are not paying any form of dividend. That is why, as you can see, under payout ratio 0%, the DIV, that is dividend per share, is 0. All right, as you can see, the dividend per share is 0. And what is the market price per share? We put it simply in the formula that we saw in previous slide. Market price per share is rupees 150. All right. What is the pay? Now, what is the second scenario? Second scenario is when the payout ratio is 40%. What does it mean? It means that 40% of the earnings are distributed as dividend. So the DIV, that is the dividend per share, is rupees 4. How do we get this value? 40% of rupees 10, your EPS, earnings per share. 40% of rupees 10 is rupees 4. When we calculate the market price, it comes down to rupees 130. All right. Then What is the payout ratio for 80%? When we have the situation as 80% payout ratio, it means that 80% of the earnings are distributed as dividends. All right. So dividend per share is rupees 8. All right. And market price per share is rupees 110. All right. Lastly, when the payout ratio is 100%, then all the earnings per share, that is entire rupees 10, is given out as DIV, that is dividend per share. And so the market price of the share is rupees 100. So you can see that for a growth firm, what does Walters model say? It says that for a growth firm, such company can maximize their value per shares if they follow a policy of internal investment. All right, if they follow a policy of internal investment, that is, if their payout ratio is 0%, they will achieve the maximum value per share. What is the goal of the firm? Goal of the firm is to achieve the maximum value per share, that is rupees 150. And how is it possible? It is only possible when the payout ratio is 0, according to the Walters model. Now coming to the normal firm. In the normal firm, R is equal to K, both are 10%. Earnings per share is 10. Going to the various 4 scenarios. First scenario, 0% payout ratio, so DIV is 0. We calculate the market price of the share, it comes out as 100. Then you have second scenario, dividend payout ratio 40%. Now here you can see in a normal firm, irrespective of the fact whether dividend payout ratio is rupees 4, rupees 8 or rupees 10, whether any value of dividend is distributed, the market price of the share remains constant, that is 100. Why does this happen? It happens because a normal firm is not affected by the dividend policy. Lastly, going on to the declining firm. In the declining firm, you can see that rate of return is lesser than the cost of capital. Now, for a declining firm, when the payout ratio is 0, when we are not giving out any dividend, when the dividend is 0, then the market price of the share is rupees 80. All right. As we move forward, when we start giving dividend, when we give 4 rupees dividend, the market price becomes 88. Then as we move forward, when we give rupees 8 as dividend, the market price becomes 96. And lastly, when we have 100% payout ratio, when we are giving the entire amount as dividend, the market price per share becomes 100. So you can see this is an increasing pattern. All right. This pattern is opposite to the pattern of the growth firm. So for a declining firm, as we discussed earlier, market price of the share will be maximum when the entire earnings are given out as dividend, when the dividend payout ratio is 100%. So this concludes our example. Now, going forward, what are the criticism of Walters model? The criticism of Walters model is basically based upon its assumptions. The first criticism says no external financing. Now, Walters model, it mixes dividend policy with the investment policy of the firm. The Walters model assumes that retained earnings finance the investment opportunities of the firm, and there is no external financing, either debt or equity, used for the purpose. When such a situation exists, either the firm's investment or its dividend policy or both will be suboptimal. When we are internally financing the entire need of the company, whatever is the dividend policy, the firm's investment and dividend policy, they will remain suboptimum. They will not reach their most optimum value. Now, what is the second kind of criticism? What is the second criticism? It is the constant rate of return. As we all know, in the real world, on various investments, the rate of return never remains constant. In fact, as more and more investment is made, the rate of return decreases. This reflects the assumption that the most profitable investments are made first and then the poorer investments are made. The firm should stop at a point where R is equal to K and should not go beyond that. Next is constant opportunity cost of capital. Now, a firm's cost of capital or discount rate K never remains constant. It changes directly with the firm's risk. As the risk increases, value also increases. Now, firm's income moves inversely with the cost of capital. Now, what we are assuming, if we assume that the discount rate or K or the opportunity cost of capital is constant, V means that there is no effect of risk on the firm, which is not basically a practical scenario. So this ends our lecture on Walters model. Thank you.